mental health resources in the classroom. 1 in 5 children have a diagnosable illness. Any one of those things would be impacted if we decided we wouldn't defer capital repair. The problem is the government, and every single day of every single year, our staff and our chair have gone to the ministry and said, you have to change it. But you're right, they don't listen. So I'm suggesting we need 2 things. 1, we do need a political strategy where we gather other boards together and we try and, especially in an election year, we need to force the government's hand on revising the funding formula. But as far as hubs, this is not some kind of cool idea where everything kind of works just a little bit better.
Well, we've been talking about it since I had brown hair. It's
well,
a long,
yeah.
long story.
But let me tell you, in other places, they're finally doing it, and they are saving money. They are restoring buildings in the United States. It is a significant way to change the way we do business, and it's about time we got down to it.
May I ask a question to Kathy, because Kathy would have a better insight being a incumbent trustee. When the board goes back to the government and they say, okay, this is an insufficient fund, they can just simply not say, we're not going to give it. What are their reasoning, and why board is not able to, satisfy them on those grounds that, okay, like if you come to me and you ask me $10 and I won't give you, but there has to be a reason.
Well,
or simply just say,
there's a couple of reasons. One, they say that they keep telling us they're giving us enough. They have not done a proper analysis around the actual cost of delivering special education, and we have way more special education students than they actually pay us for. But they have not gone about accepting our numbers yet. So it becomes a game about, these are our numbers, oh, well, we'll check your numbers. The other problem is, though, is the government has invested an enormous amount more in education, and they can go to the public and they can say, billions we've spent more, billions. The trouble is, almost every single one of those dollars is attached to a condition. So their big campaign promises were class cap, which cost millions and millions and millions. They did increase teacher salaries, which, we have to pay them a fair wage, but that ate up a big chunk, and the capital maintenance. That covered off probably 80% of any increases they ever gave us. So that leaves us only 20% of the rest of the dollars to cover off operations, proper staffing. Even the early learning plan is not being funded properly. They're paying us the bare minimum, not paying us for supervision at lunch. They're not paying us for anything that we're paying teachers over and above the average. So the government, it sounds good, but when you get right down on paper, and they don't listen to how it actually plays out, because if they listened, they'd have to put a lot more
or the money they supply to play out the program is never enough money, according to what the boards say and what they observe at the school level.
And they're mostly only funding campaign promises.
So why can't we communicate back to the community or parents saying, well, look, this is a fair budget. Like, I'm just asking question because of financial. It's a fair budget. If government is not matching it, so now, like, could it be the community? Why can't we put the pressure from the community to the government?
And that is what I've been doing with the ward, absolutely. And one of the things we did with the Special Education Advisory Committee, which every board has to have one by law, we've been trying to work with them to, ratchet up the pressure. But then we get into the discussion amongst trustees. Is that our role? I mean, I would argue it is, and I do that with my local community, but really, we need to go back to what we did when the whole Need to Succeed campaign was underway, where everyone across the board came together and we connected communities and schools, and we said, that problem you have in school, your school? Well, actually, everyone has that problem. So we all need to put our voices together and lobby the government, and I do think that will happen in this coming year.
Let's shift gears a bit and talk a bit about, because a lot of parents talk about this, a lot of parents are interested in it. A lot of parents recognize the shortfalls in all-day kindergarten. What are your thoughts, Nadeem, on all-day kindergarten per se?
It's a very good program, I believe, because of those, now it's very common that both parents are working. But like any other program, it's going through the implementation and transition stage. So my belief is that because we cannot just, because of the few wrinkles in the program, after school things, certain people are complaining, we cannot discount the whole the benefit of this program. However, one thing I would like to do, because again it's still too early. I had the two problems when I heard about the full-day kindergarten. I just thought that the government was saying that they did not have enough money to give it to the board for any other thing, and then they started this full-day kindergarten. So where did this additional cash come from?
Well, that's money with strings attached, right?
But so what I would
that's
do...
That's different money. That's special money,
That's right.
Huh?
That's the money that we wanted to attach to our campaign promise money.
So the other thing I would just say is now that it has been introduced, I would, rather than appointing somebody else, I would rather go back to the inventor of the program, Dr. Chris Pascal, and I'll say, ask him to do another report saying, was it implemented the way he wanted?
Well, no, the answer is, of course, no, isn't it? Yeah. So, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I have some good...
Realizing we don't have all night to talk about this.
So I have good friends that are involved in this program, and I'd like to credit it. I think Charles Pascal's vision was a good one.
It's not the vision being played out, however.
Not even close.
No.
Not even close. And in fact, it's offensive, this vision, because it is really just about all-day school. Not all-day learning, not wraparound programming, not supporting our, and I'm not, and when I say I was going to say supporting our most vulnerable students, I don't mean necessarily just students that are living in poverty. I mean, we have vulnerability across economic spectrum. Mental health crosses across spectrums. So they have not in any way stepped up, even in the first phase. Now, I know that Dr. Pascal is working with the Ministry of Children and Youth Services to implement the Child and Family Centres. It'll be interesting to see what they look like. I've heard that they've got to be in place by October of 2011. Coincidence? I think not.
Probably just before the election, right?
But the real problem is, aside from the fact that they're not funding us enough for the initial implementation, they put in place a program that did not help families Christmas or holidays, March break, and summer. So families had to commit to after-4 programming that gave them nothing during those periods. They had to give up their existing childcare to get it. And they went, no. They also said, we're going to ask you to go take a flyer and go with any after-school programming that the board is going to provide, which has never provided it before, and you're going to have to give up your beloved hot lunch with your daycare, your trusted providers who are your ECEs who know this stuff like the back of their hand. Instead of saying, let's partner with the childcare sector, they said, let's move them out of this business and we'll take it over. Foolish move.
Nadeem?
Well, these were the problems, and what I said is that, again, when they pushed the part which was going towards the board, at that time, why the concern were not raised quite openly. So there was, I mean, it should have been, communicated to the community on a much, in a louder voice, rather than just like, what's just trickling down, and now we are discussing what the problem is. We should have not stopped the implementation of this program, but at least shown to the community